Alright, we're going to do a study today on these right here. You know, a lot of folks don't realize that the planets, so-called planets, let's put it that way, is named after these right here. Okay? So I'm going to show y'all something. This is just one site. There's plenty of more out there. Alright, so let me just tell you this. In Scrip'chur, of course it's in the removed books, such as Hanok, what English calls Enoch, it's Hanok. He gives a very, very detailed writing of what Yahuwah, the luminaries. You know, so if you can get your hands on the book of Hanok, and more so desirably, if you can get your hands on Hanok from like the HALAL'YAHUAH scriptures, of course it restores Yahuwah and you know Yahusha's name and the name of the Malakim, what people call angels. So yeah, you need to read the book of Hanok. But I'm telling you this to tell you this is we're going to look at the names of the so-called planets and where the names derive from. So we do not need to be saying the names of the planets. I don't care. You know, when your kids go to school and you go to school, you know, and a school is honestly nothing but the evil one's playground. It's where anything and everything gets into the minds of your youngins, you know, and it pollutes them and brainwashes them and teaches them to pledge allegiance to a dagburn flag, which is an idol, you know, and to the fathers of the country. I shouldn't be saying that word, but yeah. So let's jump into this. This explains to you the planets, which, you know, NASA, and they claim to have gone to the moon and claim to have been in space and all this and that hoo-ha. And NASA, in the Abrit word, means deceiver. So that should tell you all you need to know about NASA. Okay, now these are the deities' names that you do not need to be saying. In Greek mythology, the sun is associated with the God. Okay, y'all recognize that word with NASA? APOLLO. They have, what, a satellite or something called that? Should that surprise you? No. It's one of the most important and widely worshipped deities in ancient Greek religion and Greek mythology. Okay, when they call something a myth, does not mean it's not true. That's something you need to learn. He's often depicted as a young man with golden hair and sun rays emanating from his head. He is also known as the God of light, truth, and healing. Before him, there was this one, who was a personification of the sun in Greek mythology. He was often described as a handsome young man who drove a chariot across the sky every day. He was also said to be very vain and would often admire himself in a shiny shield. Okay, none of these deities are going to be unattractive. You see what I'm saying? Whether they're male or female, they're always going to be, they always make themselves as this personification of, like, you know, this majestic body, male or female. So you've got to realize temptation and damnation are never not attractive. That's how they catch you and get you and basically kill you. Alright, now going to the moon is usually associated with the goddess. Okay, you see that name? In Greek mythology, she's the goddess of the moon, is often depicted as a beautiful woman. Blah, blah, blah. I ain't going into her details. I don't need to. And in some stories, she was in love with the handsome shepherd, and there's his name, and visits him every night as he sleeps in a cave. He was a mortal man who was granted eternal youth and immortality by none other than the Z one. She is also the mama of 50 daughters, known as the, you see that word? If you see that word, you know that's associated with her. And you shouldn't be saying a word, anything that's associated with her, known as, because that's directly towards her daughters, who are said to personify the moon's phases. Okay, here's your, let's start with the naming of the so-called planets. This word here is not only known as a planet, it's also known as an element. And, you know, it's also known as, like, in fish, they say there's high levels of MERCURY in fish. Okay, we don't need to be saying this word, period, all right? Because it is a deity. And they use deities' names in everything, just about it. And I know it's confusing, and I know it's hard to understand, and I know, trust me, I know it is, like, tiresome learning all this, but you have to learn this. You have to learn this, okay? You have to unlearn all the lies and the deceptions and stuff that the schools have taught you, that your preachers have taught you, that your grandmas and grandpas and mamas and daddies and aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters and so forth have taught you, because they were taught the same thing. But what matters is the ones that come out of the lies and learn their mouth the truth, and they're the ones willing to stand and say, hey, we were wrong. This is the truth. Very few will listen to you, though, and many will turn away from you, shun you, and begin to hate you. So, he is the smallest planet in the solar system and is named after the Roman god. Okay, so there's after the Roman god. So in Greek mythology, he is the god. There you go. And there's his name, is the messenger of the gods, and is often portrayed as a young man with wings on his feet. Okay, so there's enough about him. You see his name, you know what he is. We don't need to concentrate on him. This name here is even often a famous razor that a woman can buy. And you know, before I knew all this stuff years ago, I might have bought a few of these razors for, you know, shaving your legs or whatever, your underarms. But, yeah, this is a famous razor, you know, brand. So, when you learn certain things, like these names, you need to stop buying anything with the names on them. There's, some cologne I used to buy for my darling, you know, years ago. Oh, what was it? It was an Axe, I think. And they would have them name different things. And I started realizing the names on those cologne sprays were actually deity names. So no more of that hoo-ha comes into this house. So she's the second planet, okay, I say this loosely, from the sun, and is named after the Roman goddess. Okay. In Greek mythology, she's also known as, who is the goddess of love, beauty, and pleasure. You know, who would have thunk it, right? Okay, she was also said to be born from the foam of the sea. She was also the wife of the god of fire, blacksmiths, and metalworking. She was often associated with the Scrip'chur goddess, and there you go. Learn these names, y'all. They're important to know, so you do not take part in them. Okay. This one, we do not say anymore, and I'll go into more extensive research on this soon enough. This word here. This word right here is more so associated with the word M-O-T-H-E-R in front of it, who is a goddess. Okay? You've got your magazine called M-O-T-H-E-R-E-A-R-T-H. It's a herbal magazine. I do not buy it, will not buy it, do not partake in it. And, you know, most people, they do. They just, they think it's great because it's herbal stuff. Well, you got to learn the origins behind things. So it's the third planet from the sun, is the only planet is known to support life, okay? In Greek mythology, it is associated with the geodeists. There you go. This one is the personification of the YAHUAH and is often portrayed as a beautiful woman. You know, like I said, they're all going to be attractive. She was the mama, or Amma, Aubrey term, Amma, of all life on YAHUAH, including the geodeises and mortals. She was also the wife of, there you go, who was the god of the sky. She was said to have given birth to the mountains, rivers, and plants. Don't they just irk your goat when you read crap like that? Because you know that Yahuwah is the bara, the creator of all things. And he says he will not give his halal or his kabod, his esteem, to any other. To any other. And here's this thing proclaiming to give birth to the mountains, rivers, and plants. That just really gets my goat. Okay, next planet. And this is also a candy bar. Y'all remember the candy bar from way back in the day? I'm almost 48 years old, alright? So I remember these candy bars and I remember eating them. So, I mean, you see what I'm saying? And this name here is also in like cartoons, like, what was it, Looney Tunes. And you had your little, you know, thing from here, your little creature. He's called M-A-R-T-I-A-N. I'm not going to say that because it is associated with M-A-R-S. It is the fourth planet from the sun and is named after the Roman god of war, M-A-R-S. In Greek mythology, you can stay, baby. In Greek mythology, is known also as that one, and who is the god of war and is often portrayed as a young man with a muscular build. I mean, come on, y'all, really? Was said to be cruel and violent. He was also the son of, and was often associated with the geodeists, with whom he was said to have had passionate affair, which resulted in several children. Alright, next. There you go. That name right there is also associated with other things.
J-L-P.
No, baby, this one right here.
Okay, this one.
Right there. I can't remember exactly, but...
J-U-P.
Yep. It is the fifth planet from the sun and is named after the Roman god. There you go.
GBS.
In Greek mythology, is known as, now look at here, J-U-P-I-T-E-R is known as, there you go.
ZVS.
Yeah. Who is, you know, the king of the geodeises and often portrayed as a mature man with a beard.
And long hair.
Yeah. Was said to be the most powerful of all of the geodeises. He was also the, okay, I've learned this word here, H-U-S-B-A-N-D. If you look up H-U-S-B-A-N-D, if you just type in H-U-S-B-A-N-D in Hebrew, because it won't show nothing if you just type it up in Aubrey, but if you type that word right there in Hebrew, it'll pop up and it'll give you B-A-A-L. It's just another word for B-A-A-L. That is very shocking, I know, but now I have recently stopped calling my darling that right there. Okay, so anyway, he was also of, and the Abba of many Olympian, oh, I shouldn't say that word, geodes and geodesses, including, recognize all those words from earlier. Yeah. Was often associated with the thunderbolt, which was his weapon of choice. Some of the moons of the J are named after the lovers of him, including, let's see, Hello. That looks like the, you know, that looks like the word, what we call, well, I'm going to say it one time, Europe, and you just take the A off and you put the E there, and yeah, that's going to give me something else to study on. Oh, yeah. And then also another deity. So right here, you see this word? See, y'all get to learn with me. That right there instantly gets my curiosity up. Because all you do is take the A out and put the E there, and you've got the name of a country.
The continent.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Wow, I need to write that down.
First one right there is the S.
Yeah, the S one, right? Okay, this one's very interesting, y'all, because, you know, this is also associated with the SAT day of the week. It is the 6th planet from the sun and is named after the Roman god of agriculture. In Greek mythology, this one is known as this one here. Kind of, that word right there kind of makes me think of the disease, Crohn's disease. So I really don't want to say that right now until I see if it's associated with this word here. I don't know. I'm just saying that's the way my brain works, and that's what red flags go up. So anyway, this one was the leader of, and is often portrayed as an old man with a long beard.
And long hair too. Similar to you,
Okay, listen. All right, he was also said to be very wise and just. He was also the spouse of this one here. And that's, you see that name here, that's actually the name of the famous pioneer woman. But anyway, and the Abba of the Z and the P and the H and the H and the D and the another one, H. And was overthrown by his son, Z, and was banished to that place. Okay, and like I said, the SAT day of the week goes right along with them. And it also goes right along with what everybody celebrates as Seamus. There's another study. Some of the moons of the S are named after the DOT or GODSs, such as these two here, and this one here, which is a popular name for for a woman or a girl. Both those names are used for people today. So if you've got a child named that, you might want to take care of that quickly. This one here, I've never liked the name of this. I never liked the sound of it. But it is the 7th planet from the sun and is named after the Greek god of the sky. This one was said to be the Abba. I say Abba because I will not say that word. The Abba of all these people and of Z. Was often associated with the constellation. Okay, y'all, in case you don't know, the constellations are named after deities. Okay? The constellations are named after deities. Don't be speaking them. You can go back. You have to do a thorough, detailed research on the luminaries and see what their patterns are for the seasons, and you will learn from there. You don't have to learn from the constellations of the world, okay? There is a way to do this. We have the way of doing it now. You know, the internet is a very extremely wicked, evil thing, but we're taking advantage and digging into things that they're putting out there, because, you know, you do not have no excuse not to learn the truth, not to learn the math, okay? You need to learn, you need to dig, you need to take advantage of this. And before the internet, they have libraries, which people very seldom visit these days. But they have libraries, okay? This information is in the libraries. You know, I'm trying to tell you, there's no excuse to have not ever known the math, the truth. If you truly wanted to know, there was always a way provided for you from the beginning to now, okay? There's no excuse. There's no excuse. So anyway, learn the constellations, but I mean, they're not, they would be called like luminaries. I'm not sure the Aubrey term for that yet. I need to find it. But yeah, learn the luminaries and not the constellations, okay? So anyway, he was also said to be the Abba of that one there, the personification of that one there, and was overthrown by his son, that one there. Next, okay, we have this one. Is the 8th planet from the sun and is named after the Roman god of the sea. Okay? And we also, in our home, don't use the word Ocean anymore. We say sea. Because Ocean, what they call the Pacific or the Atlantic, you know, with the Ocean, is a deity, okay? There's something else for you to look into.
What are we going to call them?
So we just call it the sea, but that's actually highlighted in red, so I need to check that out. I'm not saying sea is a bad word. I don't know. I've never looked into it, but I have looked into Ocean, all right? So we don't say that anymore. But because these things are highlighted in red, and mostly everything highlighted in red is either a deity or therefore related, I'm curious to just look into these words. I'm not saying you don't say them yet. I'm not saying it yet, but you do your own research. You're responsible for your own ruach, your spirit. When you stand before Yahuwah, yeah, you're responsible for what you know and what you don't know. So whenever I kind of like question something, that's me questioning it. That's my mind saying, you need to look into that. That's my ruach, my spirit saying, I need to look into that. I need to make sure that's all right to say. And if it's not, I need to change it. And what do I need to change it to? I need to find out the way it's pronounced in Aubrey, what people call Hebrew. So therefore I can say what it truly was from the beginning, and there be no deity associated, related, or it being that of, okay? That's how I work. So y'all, if you don't work that way, the same way, I'm not coming down on you. I'm just bringing this to your awareness, okay? All right, anyway, this one right here is known as this one right here. Y'all have seen that. There was a ship called that, right? You know, you had your other ship, and I'm not sure about the name of it either, but here this ship is also a deity. So it was the brother of the Z and the H, and is often portrayed as a mature man with the beard. Was said to be very powerful and was often associated with horses. He was also the spouse of that one, and the Abba of that one. Was overthrown by his brother. Okay, I think we're coming to a close pretty soon. Alright, yeah, this is about it. You got this one. Now, where does this name look very familiar? Could it be Walt Disney? Could it be a character in Walt Disney? The dog, remember? Oh yeah. Was the 9th planet from the sun until it was reclassified as a dwarf planet, and is named after the Roman god of the underworld. The little cute bouncy dog that jumps around on Walt Disney's, whose dog is he? The Mickey Mouse, wicked little creature. Is that his dog, I believe? Or Donald Duck's or somebody's? Anyway, yeah. The god of the underworld. In case y'all don't know, Walt Disney is extremely wicked and evil. The man himself was a 33-degree Freemason, and if you go deep into the Walt Disney world, and all the movies thereof, and the movies now, and the programs thereof, are full of sadistic matter. Pornographic pictures, behind and scenes. You know, these movies you're letting your kids watch that I let my youngest watch that I was growing up on have sadistic meanings. Get them out of your homes, get them away from your youngins. I don't care if youngins have a cow fit or not, get it out of your homes, okay? Anything, yeah, burn it. With Walt Disney, get rid of it.
Yes.
That's another study. Anyway, Roman god of the underworld in Greek mythology is also known as, see, they go by, they also known as. So many names for one deity. That's the way the evil one works. So he gets all the praise because he has to have all these deities to get some sort of praise. But Yahuwah is a Chad. Yahuwah is one. And, you know, that's it. There's no confusion there with Yahuwah. He doesn't have to have but one name, y'all, and that's Yahuwah. HALAL'YAHUAH. Okay, anyway, this one here is the brother of those two, and is often portrayed as a young man with a dark complexion. Well, I guess if you spend a lot of time by the fire, you'd kind of be a little bit darker in complexion. Was said to be the ruler of, yeah. And I just question it when they have these things underlined. That's all I'm saying. I think when you just click on those, on some of these, and they take you to a different link. Yeah. So I'm not saying underworld is a bad word, okay? I don't know, but I'm just saying it takes you to a different link for sure. Most of them are deities that are lit up in red, but they are also, the ones lit up in red are also references to those deities. So he was also the spouse of that one, and the Abba of that one. Okay. The largest moon of that one is this, which is named after the boatman who ferries souls across the river to the underworld. And we got this one. I never really heard of this one. It's a dwarf planet and is named after the Roman geodeus of agriculture. In Greek mythology, is also known as, is the sister of Zeus.